Oh, man. Hello, world. What is up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. We are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. Our next guests are the co-creators behind the viral content group Team RAR. Together, through their creative challenges and exciting stunts, like the time they replaced everything in their friend's room with Legos, they've put up some of the most popular, most fun videos on all of YouTube, nay, all of the internet, I'll say it, with millions of followers and billions of views. These two obviously know what they're doing. Folks, put your hands together. Please welcome to the show, Lizzy Capri and Carter Scherer right here. Come on, do it up. Let's go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, thanks so much for being here. Welcome. Welcome to the show. Congratulations on everything and on being awesome. I'm super excited to talk to you guys. How are you guys doing? How's things going? How's New York? How's life?
It's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not used to that, huh?
No.
No, definitely not. I'll be outside for like 2 seconds
Yeah.
and I'll be like shivering.
Well, you look very you look cozy. I'll tell you that. It's a good look. I like the warm look on
Thank you. It's not
nice.
warm enough, but thank you.
We will get you scarves and blankets. We will do that. Well, I'm super excited you're here. Thank you for braving the cold. I saw recently a lot of cool stuff going on. You guys were just at the AMAs. It was pretty amazing. It was your first time at the American Music Awards. Is that right?
Yeah, it was insane.
Wow.
All the stars. I was starstruck.
Was that like your first like proper red carpet like scenario, or because you guys have been around, you've been attending like pretty crazy events, but I think that was a pretty big moment for you guys, right?
Yeah, that was like our first, like you said, like the big proper one. It was pretty cool to see just like how large scale it is and all the people there. It was super cool. Yeah.
Was it like intimidating in a way, or were you guys like super excited? What was it like going into that?
I feel like I was a kid again, and I would be like, oh my gosh, Carter, look, that's like Shawn Mendes, or look, Selena Gomez right in front of me. Like, it was just like so exhilarating because it's
like
all
a
these
celebrity
people.
petting zoo. It's just like, oh my God, over there. Look at that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you get to say hi to anybody or meet anybody cool, or is it just a lot of from a distance? Everybody's busy, everybody's in a zone. Everyone's working.
Everyone was right there, but we didn't like get to meet anyone.
You don't want to be that person. And just
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
they're in the middle of their interview with like E or whatever, and you're like, hey, hang on a second. And you like jump in there and like say hi. And I can't do that. No.
Yeah,
But-
I wanted to so bad.
Still a very cool moment and a very amazing. What was your favorite performance that night? Pick one.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, of
'Cause
course.
She did a medley.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
It was amazing. There's applause in the room. You can't tell at home, but all 10,000 of our audience members uproarious applause when they heard Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I thought Post Malone did a pretty good job too.
Yeah, for sure. It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Congratulations. Your pictures from that night, I think they were in Vogue, I saw, which was pretty amazing. It was a cool thing.
Oh my gosh, I thought it was photoshopped. So I was like,
You thought somebody was like messing with you, and you
yeah. And then I looked on Vogue and I was like, oh, it's actually
You
there.
had to fact check your own press. That's
I
the
know,
thing.
it was crazy.
That's pretty cool.
That was like a wow moment for me.
What'd you think when you saw that for the first time, man?
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's pretty surreal to see like these professional photos and kind of being on that side of it. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
I got a chance to talk to a lot of different YouTube creators and a lot of content creators come through here. And one of the questions that I always like to ask is just how it all started and where it all began. Because the cool thing about YouTube is that the community is so vast and so many people, they're making their own content as well. A lot of people can understand and relate to the experience of how it began, of putting that first video up. So what was it that motivated you guys to leave, from what I understand, pretty good jobs, to start creating content on YouTube? Where did it start for you guys?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is always such an interesting story to kind of talk about how we got into YouTube, coming from like just doing like normal stuff into kind of bridging the gap. And for me, it started, I just graduated college and I was working a job in robotics, and that's why I said it was computer engineering and robotics, which is totally different from YouTube, like complete opposite. Yeah, I have no formal education in like cameras or production or entertainment of any kind. You know, I was like a computer nerd. And, you know, I was working like a $12 an hour job as a research assistant doing self-driving cars at the University of Pennsylvania. And that's when we started looking into YouTube. My brother was like kind of showing me like, hey, you know, people do it. You know, like.
True. People do it. YouTube is happening.
Which was news to me, you know, like I've always watched YouTube. I loved YouTube from a very young age, but I guess I never really thought about like, oh yeah, people have this as like a job. And so he was kind of showing me like, yeah, like people have this as a job. Like, let's try to figure it out. And so I just started switching my focus of engineering algorithms and self-driving cars to like, how does YouTube work?
Yeah.
And so I just like started obsessing over it.
I would imagine you're with that background,
Yeah.
you're kind of really into like the data and like all the
Oh,
information
yeah,
that comes in
absolutely.
and sort of figuring out what that means and like finding the story
Yeah,
behind
and
that.
pretty
Yeah.
quickly, what I learned is YouTube is just an algorithm. That's how it works. And so, using my background of like computer engineering and programming and stuff, I had a better sense of kind of how it worked. And just by staring at it for so many hours, I could start to reverse engineer how it worked. And I started understanding like what worked and what didn't. And so we started uploading videos, and we started applying some of that like information towards it, and it started working better and better. Yeah.
And Lizzy, you had a pretty good gig over at LinkedIn, I think, when you started creating content as well, right? Like
Yeah, it's
you guys had
actually-
jobs, you were doing a thing, you were on a path, and then all of a sudden this major disruptive force presented itself, and like you found like your calling somehow. So tell me about it.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. Carter was really kind of the pioneer. He showed me all of this stuff about YouTube, and I was like, this is amazing. Like I always grew up watching this stuff, like YouTube and content, and I mean, as a joke, he was like, how many subscribers do we have to build this thing for you to quit your job and help us full time?
That's a great question to ask. It's one of my questions is when did that number hit? Like when did you know? So
Well-
what was your answer to that?
So Liz answered, I think what in her mind she was thinking of just like kind of the biggest number. We're probably at like 10,000 subscribers. And she's probably thinking like, oh, okay, well, if you ever, hit 1 million subscribers, then I'll quit, my dream job at LinkedIn, and I'll fly all the way across the country back home and do YouTube. But she picked the biggest number, 1 million. But then 1 million happened like a couple
In like
months
2
later.
or 3 months, I was shocked. And then I was like, okay, like let's do this thing. I really kind of spent a good day or two really contemplating, and I was like, if I don't do this now, like it's just not gonna happen. And then I quit my job and I just committed full time, never looked back. And
That's scary? Was that a scary thing to do?
it was really scary
Yeah.
because my parents were so proud of me after I graduated and had this job.
You're doing all the right things.
Yeah, and then
And now she's quitting her job, by the way, to move into my parents' basement house. And so we're all living in my mom's house in the basement, filming YouTube videos. And so that's what we changed our career paths for. But yeah, it worked out well.
How long were you down there? How long did you have to stay in the basement?
That was about a year.
Yeah.
And then from there, we kind of moved out. And then from there, we moved to California. And so it's only been like a few years since
Not bad
day
at
one,
all.
yeah.
That's the thing, right? Like you look at your numbers and you look at how many millions of subscribers you guys, the following, the fans, all this excitement, and you would think like I talked to a lot of dudes in this game and a lot of people that are like, oh, I've been doing it for 10 years, I've been doing it for 8 years, 7 5 years, what have you. You guys like 2.5 years? How long total, all in?
Yeah, maybe me. Liz is probably less than that. Her channel's probably 1.5 years or something.
yeah,
Tops.
last February, or not last February, the year before that, so almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank
Do you, what I had to ask, like, what data point led to the recurring theme of the $10,000 challenge? It seems I was looking at a lot of your videos, and a lot of the most popular ones are like, whoever's the last to leave this gets 10,000. But then there's also like there was a blind taste testing challenge, but it's always 10,000. I noticed it's $10,000 each time. Why $10,000?
I think for a couple of reasons. One, it's just like a nice stack of money.
It looks good.
It's like, it's a nice even number. But also, you got to consider when you're doing YouTube also the SEO behind it, which is the search engine optimization. So there's certain keywords and triggers and stuff like that that are going to do better. Like 9,000, for example, there's probably no search history or any SEO on that number,
Yeah.
even though it's about the same number. But 10,000 has, better search and stuff like that.
That's
And so you got to consider kind of both sides of the thing as well.
Would you say a majority of the decisions are driven by data? Because you're looking at how the algorithm works. You're looking at what people want to see, right?
A lot of our decisions, yeah,
of it,
absolutely. You got to consider how it works. Is you can make a really good video, spend so much time on it, and it not perform well, just because it doesn't have great search optimization or something like that. Yeah.
What do the meetings look like when you guys are coming up with it? Because you do have some of the most fun video. I mean, like the Lego thing was one example. Then my personal favorite was the giant Elmer's glue, the cement mixers of slime. That's just insanity. Like, how do you? What do those pitch meetings look like? How do you come up with those ideas? What's the criteria? What does that process look like?
It's kind of just like us at lunch. Just like eating sandwiches or whatever. And
What if
just,
we did this? Like, yeah.
yeah, we'll just kind of say like, hey, what if we did like something with slime? And then someone will say like, what if we go big and we fill our pool in the backyard with it?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're like, okay, let's actually do that though. Like, how do we make that work? And then it's like we have to engineer it and like figure out, okay, well, 600 gallons of glue came in a huge truck, like massive pallets that you can't move by hand. Like, you need a truck to drop them off. Like, it's, you know, it's a big quantity. So logistically, you know, there's a lot behind the scenes of like engineering to figure it out.
For sure. And it's also too not just engineering like the logistics, but like you got to be safe about it too. You don't want to get stuck in the slime. I think you were in a cage with a lion at some point. Like there's so many different things. You got to make sure you're doing it right. I imagine safety is a really important concern, and like making sure you guys are responsible and like in these stunts, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, safety is definitely a huge thing that we look at. You know, we want to make sure that we can continue making videos. If you get hurt, you know, not only are you hurt, but it's also like a huge inconvenience. I don't want to promote anything like that to the audience too. So we do take all the safety precautions for like all these things. We always make sure that we have like professional people there, or just anything that we might need on the day of. Yeah.
It's the craziest challenge you couldn't believe you guys pulled off. What's one?
Yeah.
Stands out in your head. Like I can't believe we're doing this right now.
Yeah, it's definitely.
The lion cage one was pretty crazy.
That was nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was just so bizarre because we came up with the idea. It was actually Ryan's idea. So Liz did a video this one day where she loves to rent puppies. She's done that multiple times.
Yeah,
So she'll
I
literally
love to
just
do
rent,
that.
like, get, you know, someone to bring like 10 puppies to the house, and she'll just make videos with it. So we were talking with the animal trainer, and he says that he works with, you know, exotic animals like lions. And the first thing Ryan said is like, "Yo, last leave lion cage one's $10,000." And I was like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, like we actually, that sounds so cool. Like, who wouldn't click that video? Like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And so sure enough, we booked that. You know, we booked it. We went out to this like place where they have lions and tigers and grizzly bears and stuff. And we legit, like, we went there. It was like 100 degrees that day, and we went inside the lion cage, and we closed the door, and we were probably in there for 4 hours straight without leaving. Yeah, well, Liz left right away. She was scared, but
Yeah, I was like, I'm out of here.
yeah,
Like, I don't want to be.
No
in
amount
this.
of money is worth it. I'm not hanging out with this lion.
Yeah.
yeah, but it's crazy. It was a full size, like, real lion. I don't think I've ever even seen a lion in person in my life, let alone I walk into a cage.
It could like
and,
eat
like,
me.
yeah, it was.
And every
huge.
time it moved, I'd be like, oh my gosh. It's just unexpected. You just don't know what's
It's
going
one
to
of those.
happen.
A lion. I think it was the Berlin Zoo or something years ago. We were like, we got to go see the lion. We got to see the lion. And we were maybe like, I don't know, 30 yards out. Like we were nowhere near the lion, but it was indoors, and you could hear it all over. We were like, what is that? Should we be running? Like the noise these things would make. It was so deep. It was like Jurassic Park come to life. And like you're not ready for the reality of a lion until it's in front of you. So I can't imagine being in the cage with it. It must have been nuts.
Yeah, it was crazy. So we were in the cage. It was the three of us, and then we also had like essentially the lion's mother. It's, you know, it was raised by a cub. It was like they claimed it was a very special lion, and it's been in different movies before and stuff. And so it's the only reason why we were allowed to do this. Like,
It's kind of like the AMAs. Don't touch the celebrity. Don't touch the lion.
well,
Just
we
look at
did
the
touch the
Yeah,
lion.
like-
What? Yeah.
This time you could. They let you a little bit closer.
I think it was a very special lion. It's very used to like human contact and stuff like that. That being said, it's still a 400-pound. I mean, it was huge.
Giant lion,
Yeah, no, that was a fun day for sure.
What's your favorite one, Liz? You think back? What's the opposite of the lion spectrum? Least scary.
The puppies.
You love puppies.
I surprised Carter with a bunch of puppies while he was sleeping, and it was super fun and wholesome and not dangerous.
Yeah, I remember sitting in the bathtub with 10 puppies like running around me.
It's like a dream come true.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Is it fun to wake up to a challenge when she surprises you like while you're sleeping or napping like that? Like sometimes. If
Yeah.
it's puppies, yeah.
If it's puppies, or she put a petting zoo in the backyard one day. It was like she brought like a cow and chickens
Yeah,
and
like a legit cow.
like all this stuff. She
That
did.
phone call, like you're like, what kind of animals can I get over here? Cow? I'll take 2. Give me that. What
Yeah.
else you
You
got?
can get a camel. Did you know that?
did not
It's
know
like
that.
insane.
How rude did not bring me a camel today. I'll tell you that right now. I'm very disappointed in you. Next time you come, you can
Next
bring me the
time.
camel.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm curious about. So we know the number. It was $1 million. That's the number where you said, all right, this is a thing. We're going to do it. Whenever you're being creative, whenever you're putting something out into the world, whenever you're making your own content, one of the most important parts of that process is like finding your voice, figuring out who your audience is and who you want your audience to be and what you want your content to be and what kind of creator you want to be. How long did it take for you to figure that out? To figure out this is how I'm going to talk when I'm on camera. This is the kind of energy I want. We're not going to curse. We're going to do this. All these different things. How did you figure all that stuff out? How long did that take, that process? Especially you, Liz, when you didn't even think you were going to do it until he was like, oh, by the way, we hit $1 million. Get over here.
Carter really helped train a lot of that. He was kind of the pioneer in all of it. You did a lot in
Yeah.
the beginning.
I feel like I remember thinking back to trying to be on camera, like way back when like some of our first videos were just so weird, to like
Yeah.
film yourself. It's like awkward and like so that's you got to learn how to be more comfortable on camera, kind of be yourself, but also be entertaining. You can't just be like boring. You're trying to make fun content, and so it didn't take. I don't know. It probably took like maybe 6 months to be like really comfortable. You know,
That sweet spot.
yeah, like really comfortable. But even still like 2 years later, uh, I'm comfortable on camera. I don't have an issue with it. It's kind of like normal, But I feel like we're kind of ever evolving, and kind of just becoming, more just kind of like changes, Like the things are constantly just like changing a little bit. Yeah.
Well, talking about evolution, Team Raw, it was recently rebranded to Team Raw. You guys used to be the Dream Team, and now it's Team Raw. Talk about the title change. What Team Raw is, and what it means to you guys, and what you're trying to do.
Yeah, it's like super exciting, and this is awesome too. I walked in, I was like, wow, that's really cool. Yeah, so Team Mara is a super cool project Liz and I have been working on, and the entire team too. The involvement. I mean, this was like a major project, probably our biggest ever. It's 6 months or more to pull this thing off, and it's finally live now for the last couple weeks, and it's super exciting. Essentially, what it is, it's like it's the brand of our entire team. We have a whole group of creators that we're just starting out, and we're going to continue to grow, and we need to have a name for that. And so we came up with the Team RAR branding, and we're also doing apparel. So we're building like a streetwear brand out of it. It's going to be very high quality, like custom made, pieces. It's super exciting. And this is also, for the fans too. It's something that the fans can be a part of, that they can support. They can, watch our videos, branded Team RAR. They can wear the clothing, and they can just be a part of Team RAR as well. So it's just a super exciting project that, we've been working really hard on.
Yeah, and it kind of goes with our backstory of going against the grain and taking risks, and it embodies all of that, and we want to encourage that kind of. We kind of want to inspire our fans to go against the grain, challenge yourself, do something different, and so we're really proud of it. It's crazy that it came together, but yeah.
What you talk about inspiring fans, and I think you do that for a lot of people. The numbers speak for themselves, and we got a lot of great fans here today. We'll get questions from them in a second. But what's that been like, seeing that response and seeing like whole families that love the stuff that you guys do and watch your videos together, and everybody, kids and adults really embracing the content you guys are putting out there? What's it like when you see that much love coming back in your direction?
It's super humbling. I mean, we work so hard every single day to make the best content that we can, and it's super exciting to see that not just one age group can enjoy it, that the whole family can, or all ages. It's super humbling to see that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's really nice. We have such a positive fan base. So even reading comments, like we get a lot of questions like, how, do you deal with comments like negative or whatnot? So much of our fan base is so wholesome and they're so positive, and that's what we want to cultivate with this brand and with our videos anyways. And it's really nice that our fans are so wholesome.
How do you cultivate that? Like, how do you ensure or create something to get a majority positive? That's a hard thing to do on the internet, is to get majority positive opinion. But like,
Yeah.
are there tricks? Are there things that you've learned? Like, we'll do this to keep it positive. Is it about the topics? What is the secret to that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Our fans are, the best. There's no doubt. Our fans are just amazing, and I think it does probably come from a lot of the decisions that we make. And I think the biggest thing is, we look at comments, we look at any feedback, emails and stuff like that. Positive and negative are both helpful, but especially the negative comments are the ones that have something constructive. I think a lot of creators on the platform will see that as like hate, and just kind of push it off and try to ignore it and be better than the hate. But we actually embrace that, because they're going to say something constructive, something that you can learn from. A comment that says, oh, I love this video. Well, then how do I make it better? But, the grumpy comment that says something like mean, but there's probably some truth to it. Like, oh, this part was boring, or I'm being like cringy or something. Okay, well, that's something I can improve on. And so I think by doing that, we really created this culture of just the best fans, very positive response. I think that's really what it was.
Are you guys strategizing at all around? I was reading a whole thing about how like YouTube's approach to kid content is going to be changing, coming down, and that's changing every day, and they're kind of like evolving what that's going to look like. But one of the things I saw is like, yeah, videos for younger audiences. They may not have comments in the future and stuff like that. Have you thought about how to like still do what you guys do, still put out what you put out, if that's how the things go and how things change?
Yeah, and I'm not too worried about the changes. We've been through a lot since day one. Even though it's only been a couple years, YouTube has gone through some very big changes. And I think because we keep our content simple in the sense of, like maturity-wise, like we're not, cursing. We kind of just try to have fun, and it's just very good energy, right? And so I don't think there's going to be any issues with that style of content. And with these new changes coming in the new year, I'm also not going to be too worried about it. And if something does come, that's just the name of the game, and we'll figure it out.
Well, I mean, fun is the keyword, man. Everybody you guys have, it's obviously an absolute blast. You make some really great stuff. And some of the people that love that stuff, they're here today. They got some questions. So before we wrap things up, I want to make sure we had time for some audience questions. We got at least 2 of them we got time for. So let's go ahead. You got microphones. First one's coming from the orange couch. Go for it, man. Come on over. What's your name?
Charlie.
What's up, buddy? All right, go for it. What's your question?
Hi, Carter and Lizzy. But what was the best advice your parents gave you when you were little?
Great question.
That actually is a really good question. Do you want to start
Wow.
with that? Or do you want me to start?
Why don't you go ahead? You gotta think about it.
I think the best advice that I got from my parents in general was just their support in the things that I wanted to do. Regardless of what that was, I was kind of, a different kid growing up, and I was kind of into different stuff. I always loved like building stuff, and they always just supported me. And I think that really helped build the confidence that I can do anything that I put my mind to. And so it's just, having the support behind that, I think was huge for me. Yeah.
For me, I think they really cared about my happiness and making sure I was doing something that made me happy. And so I think early on, they always kind of pushed me to create like a work ethic in me and swimming and academics and stuff. But once I got to college, they really let go and were like, we want you to do what makes you happy. And no matter what, we'll support you, even if it's quitting your dream job to do YouTube.
Yeah, it was a big leap. Very cool. It's a great question, man. Thanks for that, bud. Can I do one more? I want to do one more, and it's going to be you, man. Go for it. What's your name, bud?
My name is Josiah, and I want to know, this is for Carter, why don't you make videos with Steven anymore?
Yeah, that's a good question. My brother and I used to do YouTube together. That's actually how we got into YouTube to begin with. And at some point, I launched my channel, and we kind of had different ideas and different visions of the kind of content that we wanted to produce. And instead of kind of trying to do both at the same time, we decided let's both focus on our, each focus on our own channels. And so that way I can take, my channel and my content to the next level, and he can take his channel and his content to the next level. And it's just 2 different tracks. And so that's why.
Another great question. Both great questions. Thank you, guys. And you guys are a great audience as a whole. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us. We're going to wrap things up real quick before we go. I want to thank Lizzy and Carter for being here with us. Remind everybody to check out Team Roar. What else do people keep an eye out for? What else is coming from you guys? What's the next big thing?
More crazy videos. Liz might be getting into music after going to the AMAs. So there might be, I don't know.
Secret. No,
Yeah, it's
it's
top
okay.
secret. I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. There's a lot of cool stuff. A lot of big things with Team Roar coming out. It's gonna be very exciting.
Thank you so much for having us.
Pleasure, man. It's awesome to have you both here.
Yeah, thank you so
All
much.
right, guys, you know what to do. Let's thank everybody for being here. Big round of applause. Thank you so much,
you,
Lizzy
thank you.
Capri and Carter Share, for
Thank
joining us.
you.
Have a good one.